What is going on, YouTube people? Neo Cards and Comics here. A little newsy news today. I debated on just saving this for tomorrow's video, but here's what's going to happen, folks. We're less than a week away from the National. There's probably going to be a lot of news, hot and heavy. So, I already have one video recorded. I have another one coming on PSA, some stuff they announced today. That'll probably be up tomorrow. So you might see some 2 video days over the next week or so, depending on how things go. So let's get into what this one is, and then we'll cover the other ones later. Beckett and PWCC have teamed up, just kind of like how PWCC did with CSG like a month or 2 ago, whenever that was, to kind of help streamline the grading process / incorporate it in with the PWCC platform for selling. So essentially what happens here, you submit the cards, and by submit, that's you just send them to PWCC. They do all the work. With this Beckett partnership, it's $50, 10-day turnaround time, 10 business day turnaround time. And then the cards come back and they immediately go on sale on the PWCC weekly auction. CSG, same thing. I believe with CSG, it was $20, but the exact same setup as that was. So if you're familiar with that or you use that, this works just like this, except this time it is with BGS. So $50, 10-day turnaround time. CSG, $20, 10-day turnaround time. They immediately go for sale. Now, the devil is in the details on this one. And that's PWCC's details, because they have some things, which some of them make sense to me. I get it. Some of them don't make sense to me, so I'd be curious on what their thought process here is behind this. So if you send a card off, get it graded, we'll use BGS for the purposes of this. You pay the $50, you get it back, and it sells in the weekly auction, but it only sells for $25. You owe PWCC $25. I get it, makes sense, makes perfect sense on that one. You know, maybe you guessed wrong, it didn't get the grade that you were expecting, this, that, or everything. Now, and they do recommend, and I would recommend as well, if you're using this, you want to send mid-tier and up stuff. You don't want to be sending base stuff with this or whatever, because it's not going to pull the price to break even and actually make money on it, depending on what your cost to acquire the card was. So keep that in mind. But obviously things can happen. Maybe the player gets hurt in that 10 days while it was out. Maybe you send a quarterback in season, and all of a sudden they tear an ACL in the 10 days that it's at grading. That stuff could happen. Maybe it doesn't grade the way you thought it was going to. Maybe you thought it was a BGS 9.5 and it comes back an 8.5. Maybe you thought it was a CSG 10 and it comes back a CSG 9. Whatever the case might be, something could happen that could alter the value of that card in that 10 days, or the fact that you don't know the grade it's going to get. So it goes for sale and it underperforms. Now all of a sudden you're out the card and you're out, the extra $25 that you had to spend to grade it if it sold for 25. I get that part of it. That's the general risk we all take when we run anything at auction. 100% understand that. Got it. Perfect. Makes total sense. Don't disagree with it at all. You committed to pay $50 to grade the card. It's on you to make sure you send a card of value for that. Here's the part I don't like. I saw Dustin do a video on this earlier. I spoke to PWCC via their online chat thing to confirm this. If one of these cards, whether it's through BGS or through CSG, goes through this process and it does not sell, I think their minimum is $10. It does not reach the $10 threshold, does not receive a bid on the weekly auction. What happens to that card? Well, it goes to PWCC's possession. It does not go in your vault. So in that case, you are out, let's say, the $50 to grade the card, $20 to grade the card with CSG. And the card is gone. So you got nothing. You paid $20 or $50 to grade it, and you don't even have the card to show for it. Now, once again, this is where sending the correct cards make a big difference here. But as I stated, something could happen to affect the value of this. There has been some information on blowout forums. I haven't been able to verify this myself. I'm just going off of what they posted, but this is something I'm going to try to keep track of going forward. That a lot of CSG slabs are not reaching that minimum threshold. So if anyone has experience with this, where you submitted through this program via CSG and had that experience, let me know in the comments down below. And the other thing I'm curious about are, do people realize this? And maybe they do. Maybe this is very common practice for people that interact with PWCC a bunch. I personally don't. I buy on PWCC on occasion. I've never sold a card on PWCC. So I have never read the fine print on any of their selling structure and how things work. The thing that I don't understand is if the card goes unsold, you already have it in your possession, it's already sitting there. Why wouldn't you, instead of just taking the card from the person, why wouldn't you vault it? Just vault it for the person. Charge them a vault fee. If it goes unsold, we're going to charge you a $3 vaulting fee or $5 vaulting fee or whatever it is to vault a card with PWCC. You guys have a vault. You have vault tons of cards for a bunch of people. Why not just give the option to automatically vault the card for that person instead of forfeiting it to you? Second thing, why not just say, cool, we'll roll it back next week. Give it another shot. Hey, it didn't sell week 1. We'll try it again week 2. If that doesn't work, then we'll go ahead and vault it for you. Why do you get to keep the card? I mean, I understand why, because it's in your terms of service. But I feel like there's a better way to do that doesn't completely screw your customer over. And once again, I don't know how much this is happening. According to Blowout on the CSG stuff, it was a pretty large number. But once again, I don't have the numbers to back that up. So I don't want to say I'm going to take that with a grain of salt, but I want to see it with my own eyes. Same thing with the whole that you forfeit the card. I purposely waited to make this video until I got in touch with PWCC via their online customer service chat thing where you could chat with them, because I wanted to be 100% sure how this worked. And they confirmed to me that is 100% how it works. If the card sells for less than value of the cost to grade, you owe the difference. That part makes total sense to me. If the card goes unsold, you forfeit the card to them and you get charged the grading fee. That's the part I don't like. Once again, I understand why you're doing it that way, because you set it up to work that way. I don't agree with the way that you set that up. And that's a PWCC thing. That's not a Beckett or CSG thing. I mean, I guess they chose to partner with them, probably knowing that's how it worked. But from a PWCC side of things, I don't like that. That alone would be a reason for me to consider not using this service just based off that. And what makes it more confusing to me, and I don't understand PWCC's business. I'm not a big vault guy. I've never really used a vault before. If I was going to use one, it would probably be eBay's. I guess I use StarStock, so that's technically a vaulting service. But I don't understand their inner workings of their business. But to me, why wouldn't you just vault the card for the person or roll it in the next week's auction, or both? Roll it in the next week's auction if it goes unsold. If it doesn't sell, then we're going to go ahead and vault it and charge a fee to vault it. That's fine. Once again, if people know what they're getting into when they sign up for it, fine. And maybe this is fine too. If you know what you're doing when you sign up to send cards in for this program. But I would be curious how many people realize that's how it works. Let me know in the comments down below. Did you know that's how this worked? That's how the PWCC weekly auction works for these programs. Like I said, I did not know that. Maybe it's 100% common knowledge, and I look like the idiot here. But to me, that was surprising. Once again, I'm not a PWCC expert, so cards that make sense for this. If you were going to use it, I do see an angle on the BGS side if you had like RPAs or something like that to potentially send that way. $50, 10-day turnaround time on a QB RPA or an NBA RPA or something that you don't think of PSA 10. Because remember, you want this for mid and upper tier cards. The flip side of this is the SGC argument, which is 100% a viable argument depending on what you want to do or what you prefer. You can send the SGC for $30 and get it back in 48 hours, basically. They're grading cards in essentially a day right now. Now, maybe that changes when they start monkeying around with price points. Who knows? But that'll change the math a little bit on this. But as of time of recording on the evening of July 20th, I could send the card to SGC and get it back in like 72 hours for $30, as opposed to, and then I get to do whatever I want with that card. That card is mine to control and do whatever I want with it. If I want to time the market and hold it, if I want to sell it right away, I could do all that. With this, I'm spending $50 or $20 with CSG to send it and then blindly sell it without knowing the grade, without knowing what the current market conditions are 10 or 14 days from now. We all know a lot can happen in the sports card market in 10 to 20 days. I'm calling it 10 to 20 days because you have time to ship it. I got to ship it for me to PWCC. PWCC has to ship it to Florida, or I'm sorry, Texas in this case, or Florida for CSG. They have to ship it back, and then it goes up for auction. Even if they're not shipping back, they're just sending them scans. There's still, a little bit of extra time built into there before it hits, and then it has to hit on a Sunday. So if the cards come back in, at the beginning of the week, you have to wait for the weekly auction to start. Then the weekly auction has to run. There's a big time gap there, and we all know in sports in general, a lot can happen in 2 to 3 weeks. That could drastically affect values of cards, injuries, trades, free agency. Someone does something stupid. All those things are on the table, obviously. So I get what they're going for here. It is a very easy and seamless process, it seems like. I just don't know. I am personally, when it comes to my collectibles, I am a control freak. I want to maintain possession and control under them under most circumstances. So for me to send a card to get graded and then blindly sell regardless of grade and market conditions, I need to be getting a really good deal to take advantage of that, because there are other options now. I could send it to SGC for $30 and get it back in 2 weeks. I could send it to PSA and pay $50 and get it back in, 90 days or whatever it is they're running right now on economy, depending on the value. That's the other thing. There is no declared value limits on this. You could send literally whatever you want. I do see the angle for it for certain cards for sure. But anytime you guys and girls are using any of these vaulting services, any of these deals like this, make sure you're reading all the fine print. That should be your big takeaway from this video. So, does this make sense for certain stuff? Yes. Will I personally be using it? Probably not, but that's more of a mental block that I have. But I can see the use case for this with both companies. I personally would rather just keep control of my cards and be able to bring them to market when I want to. Like I said, to me, the scariest thing is just blindly not knowing what it's going to grade and not knowing what the market conditions are when that auction starts. Because like I said, a lot of stuff could happen in 2 to 3 weeks. So very curious for your thoughts and comments on this one down below. Like, comment, subscribe. It's probably going to be a news bonanza the next week between general national stuff. And then all the companies are going to be releasing their new fancy, doodads and announcements and all that. Like I said, there's a PSA announcement. I need to dig into that. That'll probably be tomorrow's video. And then who the hell knows what else is going to pop up over the next 7 days. So like, comment, subscribe. Catch you guys and girls on the next one. Always read the fine print. Peace.